And we're back to Houdini, and in this case I want to add some additional smoke. So how we can apply this smoke? What I want to do, I want to create a meter somewhere in this area, like for our main smoke. Let me turn off the ship for the moment. But this smoke should move closely near to the water surface. It shouldn't rise up. It should go like a parallel to water surface. It will be less dense, so we don't need to have a super quality and super high res. So we need to make it a little bit faster for calculation, but we need to cover a huge area. And somewhere from this area to our ship, that's where the smoke will end. All right, so let's work with the source. And basically what I really want to do, I want to use the same source as from the fire. The tricky thing, let's go and call it smoke source. And what I will do is take our volume rasterize attributes, which is the last node for creating the source for the smoke, and we used the burn and the temperature. All right, except of the burn, I want to go here and I don't want to add a fuel. I want to add a density. So now density should be applied from the mask, and I will use the temperature from the density. So that's all what I want to change. I want to change just one field to another. So as a result, we're going to have the density attribute, not a burn. With the attribute noise, we need to change, need to change my burn to density. So I will apply the same noise. In fact, I get that. Let me just play a little bit with this setting, just make it smaller, raise it up like over here, so it should be a little bit differently from our fire setup. All other stuff I will leave as it is. And as a rasterize, we choose density. The most common my mistake is density, except of the density. So it'll leave 1.5. I guess it should work. Let me just press here to turn off the background image. And yeah, that's my source. But what I want to do, I want to transform this source, move this on this direction, somewhere here. So I will transform this on the on the Z axis. So move it somewhere. Why not moving? Oh, here you go. Maybe like minus, I don't know, 25. And it will move all my clusters to this position. Okay. Well, to be sure that it's different from my fire simulation, we can go to the attribute noise and just play with an offset. So it just creates a different noise pattern. But in fact, we will set up a different smoke simulation. There is no fire, so we can play exactly with the same amount. It's up to you. You can choose whatever you want. You can save it, or you can choose it. You can change this. So let's call this smoke out or density out, doesn't matter. And fuel out wage, well, let's call it smoke out wage. That's it. That's what I want to do. And yeah, I can copy even the fire sim. So I'll remove this home smoke sim. Now with this, what I should do, let's go to the first frame. I don't need to apply any of those guys. So I just remove all this disturbance stuff. The thing is, I can apply disturbance directly here on the pyrosolus parse, because I don't need to apply this to the flame. I won't have a flame at the moment, so I will remove the flame and use the old good density. So as it was by default, I just decrease the block size maybe to 0.1 and increase the roughness to maybe like 0.7 to create more like smaller details, and the cutoff like 0.1 to have an influence in more dense areas. So I don't need shredding anymore. Maybe I'll add some turbulence. So the smoke dissipation is too high for me now. Let's make like 0.01. So I want to make dissipation a little bit bigger in this case, but not too much. I don't want to dissipate the smoke till it goes to the ship. So in the turbulence, what I want to apply is make a bigger swell size, because we have a big scale simulation, and maybe a little bit more grain. So like with the roughness, we will apply a little bit more smaller details. Influence field is the temperature, so we have a temperature. Now let's rename it and resend it to not to the fire source, to the smoke source, to my smoke out. Okay, so we change our saw path, and the same stuff is here. We can apply the density here and density there. So we take a density field and transfer it to the density field. I can use the add, which is by default operation, add operation, and I will pull my temperature but with smaller value like 25. So because I don't need to create like a fire, so now I can pull with the smaller settings. And now I need to change all this to the smoke. Okay, so fire, now it's smoke, and it's smoke. Well, in fact, for the position we can leave, because we have exactly the same position in this case. But to be sure that it's working fine, I will transfer this to the smoke source node. And we have the C position exactly. So now we can see that we have a value, so we can make sure that it's working. And I decrease the voxel size just a bit. I mean, decrease the voxel size by decreasing the voxel amount just a bit, because I want to make the simulation a bit faster. I do need to create a very high res, as I said, because we will have a less density for this stuff. So now with the wind, as I said, I will apply a wind for my smoke. And in this case, I will reduce the wind scale like 0.5 and turn speed maybe even decrease to 0.15. I'm gonna have the same direction, but inside of a smoke object, we have a nice option here in the field. We have the wind tunnel direction. So why I'm not using just a gas wind, I can increase this wind scale like 2, and it will blow the smoke with the higher strength. But with the gas wind, sometimes it looks like it's stretching the information inside of my container and create like lines from the smoke. So it's not looking very good. So for this situation, I prefer to decrease the wind scale, but add here inside of my smoke object, add the wind tunnel direction. Again, it's looking 1. So now the smoke will move at this direction. So with the guide option, in visualization, we can turn off multi-field or just density, because that's all what we're interested in. I don't want to create any kind of fire or something like that. Just the density for me should be fine. And yeah, we can uncheck emit smoke because we're not creating a smoke, because we don't have a flame, in fact. And in simulation tab, I'm gonna leave the time scale 0.75. I'm gonna leave this advection reflection, cooling rate, and the reference temperature get down to 500. I'm gonna leave the buoyancy scale 0.5 as it is, because we have a lower temperature, we have a wind, 2 winds in fact, and I guess this will be enough. In advanced tab, I will increase the minimum sub steps and maximum steps to like 2 and 4. In this situation, why I'm doing it, in some scenes where I create wind, I thought that the information, the density, which is moving with some huge wind speed, again creates some artifacts, and that's why I want to increase the minimum substeps to calculate this movement a little bit more correctly and a few times per one frame. So let's reduce the frame from here. Let's delete the frame. It doesn't too much, so it's not a big deal. It doesn't have too much influence on my final simulation, but anyway, we can remove this because we don't have a flame field. It's oriented just on the density. Okay, so let me check it again. The density, creation, solid creation frame. And that's what we have. So with the pyro, good. With the smoke, temperature, density, all's fine. Alright, the gas wind we have. Now with the fire cache, move it here. Smoke. And definitely should remove many of those steps, but you can use the pyro out, and it should look into the smoke seam. Smoke. Now all what I need to get from this simulation is definitely just the density, so I don't need to put nothing more. For sometimes we can apply, we can save velocity if you want to make retiming. Well, with the fast moving, maybe we can apply the motion blur or something like that. But in my case, the smoke is moving not too fast for the motion blur, and I won't use any retiming, so I keep just the density field. It will definitely save me a lot of cache space. All right. And let's play with this. So I'm gonna leave this for now. After my simulation, I will back here and change all the stuff. So with the white top, another thing I want to copy, let's call this smoke top. So basically we have the same idea. I want to render those guys separately for each cluster. So all what I need to have, do the same, leave this wage count, but again we need to change smoke source, smoke out, and well, have a fuel out, and we just need to change into the smoke out. Okay, I will can't redo. Why you can't do this? Okay, smoke out, smoke source, smoke out. All right, let's change this source into the smoke WH index $f, fine. And with the pyro wage, the same stuff, the smoke cache pyro out, and let me double check. We have the smoke out wage for our simulation. So let me see. So yeah, full out wage is, I don't know why it doesn't create correct path. Need to fuel out wage. This. Okay, so here the smoke seam and smoke out wage. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, it's kind of fine for now because there is no cache. Saved cache. All right, and again go here. Fire top, go to the smoke top. Am I correct? Yeah, I need to double check all these guys. Yeah, smoke seam, smoke, that's fine. That's all fine. All right, so it should work. Let's go here and smoke aspire out and smoke W. So here the smoke interchange like a smoke source. So I didn't want to have the same name for that. So let's call this source smoke. Okay, and this will be named as smoke, just smoke. Smoke aspire out. Good. Looks fine for me. And it should work. Let's launch this stuff. Yeah, let's save it. So 284 waiting. And it should create cluster smoke as smoke source. Yeah, now it's working. You see that we have a source for wage 4 and 0. Yeah, it's working. Okay, I'll wait a little bit till it starts create a smoke simulation, and then we're back. And we're back with the bad news, because there's something wrong with it's creating a source, but it doesn't create a simulation for the smoke. You can see that it's tick 2 kilobytes. So I stop sim, and let's find out what is wrong here. Let's just go to this thing and select the smoke out, the default smoke out. So this should work in the solid creation frames, and somehow it doesn't send a container. So you can see when I disable the checkbox from the solid creation frame, it sends container to the position of the source, but it doesn't find any density, because the density is our reference field for resizing. So somehow there is no density. Let's find, oh yeah, right. That's my mistake. I transform my source at 25 meters on this dead, and I should transform my points at the same position. So what I can do, I can create a clone, or we can create just a copy. So let's me paste just in stuff here and transform those points at a correct position. Get back to my smoke sim, and yeah, now it's looking good. Now we have smoke. Let's just render or simulate a few frames. I want to see, does it work properly for me? So my smoke is beginning to move at this direction. Looking good. And another thing I should add here, I guess, is my ground plane. For my main smoke simulation, it wasn't such need for simulation the ground, because our smoke is rising up mainly, but this smoke is going near the water surface. So I should add here the ground plane. Let's merge this. So it will bounce from this ground and move in the proper direction. So let's add a wedge again. Get back to my top network. I want to delete all results from a disk. Click OK. And let's start it again. Okay, let's save. And yeah, first time when I create simulation inside of my fire sim, I guess I forget to set my SOAP path to the fuel out page. I send it just to the fuel out. It's not a big mistake because it will work. It will create a source for my simulation, but without the page, it will create source each time. In fact, our top network, as you know, create two different caches. The first cache is for the source and another one cache for simulation. So when I'm add just a fuel out here, it will grab the source from here, from volume rasterized attributes, but not get from the cache. So it will work, but in this situation, our sourcing, our cache source, it doesn't go into the simulation because we take our fuel out and create a sim. So this source wage, it doesn't have any effect. Just create source and then simulation grab source again from here, not from cache. Again, it's create source again. So it doesn't a big mistake, because in our case we don't spend a lot of time for creating a source. It's very fast, thing. But in sometimes we have a very like a huge source, and we spend a lot of time for creating and converting it to the fields. So all right, it's works for now. So creating a source. Now we can see that we have a smoke sim. It's very small by the moment because it just begin to simulate, but now it works. So let's see what do we have in the final. And the simulation was done. It doesn't take too much time. So I'm gonna change this to the smoke. Here we go. And this is my fast simulation. Let's change here to the smoke. That's another one. Yeah. So let's change all of those and I will see how it looks. Okay, the smoke. I create this cache in the geo folder with this project, but then I decide to send this file to my X disk into our smoke light simulation, so they should be at the same place. Now let's merge. Let's look from the camera, and here's my smoke. Looking not bad, especially if we have such a huge voxel. So you can see that there's just 3,554 million is a very mid-res sim. So because I have just a density, I don't need those guys anymore. So we can leave just a density setup. I don't need even a blast node because I don't have there is nothing except of the density. So I create the bound, create the volume density, and just change the division size and the volume merge. That's what we have, like 22 million voxels. So that's fine. That's fine. And smoke, just to be correct. Smoke render. What I want to do, this source position is almost the same as the position for this smoke. So what I'm gonna do, I just take, this smoke and add a transform node to change position for the cache. Let's drag like to 5 meters, maybe 6 meters. Yeah, to create a better difference. I don't want to have like a straight line. All right, so we break this position. Let's display a null object. Be sure that there is a render on the smoke render. All right, so that should be the next smoke, this main smoke. That's going to be the add smoke, some additional smoke, you can call it. All right, so now with the fire smoke, maybe we can rename it add smoke. There is no such a material, but we can create it. The fire smoke. Now let's call this add smoke. So I definitely don't need to add any kind of fire here, so we can remove the intensity scale here, 0 here. We can play just with the density. And all what I want to change here is just the density scale. So basically we can decrease the density to like 0.3 to make this smoke more opaque, so it should have like less density amount. That's all we need. So the same color, because it should be almost the same smoke like our main smoke. But okay, maybe not 0.3, maybe 0.4 to guess less density. Let's see how it looks. Go to out, and I want to choose, so this is going to be my geometry, and this will be my atmospheric. So the main smoke, and let's call this the add smoke. So except of the fire, just a smoke cache. And the ship and VS cut like we had for our main smoke simulation. But the difference with this smoke is that I should add the fire cache as a force mat. So press Ctrl and fire cache, accept button as a force mat element. And definitely I should apply my volume light for this. So get back to my render view, and I can save it and go to 192 and select the add smoke main cam. All this stuff we should leave as it is. So with rendering, I guess I will take 0.5 for the volume sampling. Let's take fire cache. So it's, even with such a small simulation, we need to load up all those guys and the ship and the fire cache. Well, now agreed. Well, to be sure that we have the same like a cut area, we can paste our surface except of the flat grid. But I think that we will save some time if we put just a simple plane except of the water surface. All those displacement and other stuff, I don't need to do this. All right, let's see. With an image, let me just check what we have here. And I definitely don't need to have the fire mask and the smoke mask because we have just a smoke. So I'm gonna leave my direct extra image plane for my lights. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna have the sunlight and the volume light, which is good. Skylight, sunlight, all those guys I want to leave as the okay, that's how they looks. Bottom light, looking good. So mainly the same setup as for my main smoke, except of the fire, which I don't have. Okay, looks cool. And you know what? I think that I will add even density, the same density. So I can, You know, I even can leave the same material because I can apply my fire smoke material, but if there is no temperature and no flame, it will not create any kind of flame. So we can apply the same fire smoke. But anyway, if we decide to change something inside of this shader, sometimes it can be more helpful to have a separate shaders for the smoke and for the fire. Okay, so let's stop it. And just to be sure that I keep in mind that I want to add this smoke to my water surface as the faucet phantom. So the smoke cache, because I need to create the shadows and from those guys too. Okay, so let's save it and save. Let's now render current frame, and we will find out what else I want to add from this scene.